average price in Durham Region has plummeted below $1 million.
Everybody panic!
It's easy to get clicks and attention when it's all doom and gloom. But in this video, I'm going to talk about what has really changed, what we may see in the future, and I'll answer some common questions. But before we jump into that, my name is Jessie McLellan, and I'm a realtor here in Oshawa, Ontario on the Lisa Abbott team. And if you want to be the first to know about what's happening in Oshawa and Durham Region real estate, please subscribe to our channel. And hit the like button on this video as it helps us reach more people like you. So if you were hoping for more terrifying headlines, this probably isn't the video for you. The reality is people can cherry pick stats to tell whatever story it is they want to tell. For example, in Durham Region, sales in May are down 30% when compared to May of last year. But in May of last year, sales were up 94% compared to May of 2020. And although the number of sales are down 30% when compared to May of last year, the actual price is up 25% year over year. But the average price is down 21% from February of this year to May of this year. But we're still up 25% from the same time last year. Do you see what I mean? With these numbers, you could easily make a headline that says, the market is plummeting and sales are down 30%. But you could also make a headline that says, average price is up 25% and the market is booming. And both statistics would be correct. So let's quickly run through the numbers and talk about what has actually changed. And if you really want to deep dive into the statistics for yourself, I'll put a link in the comments to the full Durham Region housing report. When looking at the stats, it's important to understand that when you break it down further by area and home type, some of these numbers can be skewed by a low number of sales and aren't necessarily telling you a full story. For example, the average price of a linked home in Clarington is down from $896,000 to $711,000. But that's because there is only one home that's sold in that category. And with only one sale reported in that category, that is not reflective of the market. When looking at Durham Region overall for the month of May, sales were down 5.9%, and the average price was down 7% when compared to April. This is for all of Durham Region and includes every home type. If we take a look at just Oshawa, the average sale price is actually down about 10.3%. And what's really taken a hit are detached homes in Oshawa, which are down 12.4% when compared to April. So there are definitely some great opportunities in there for buyers. Semi-detached condo townhomes and condo apartments stayed fairly stable when compared to the rest of the market. They dropped roughly between 3 and 4.7%. Another thing to keep your eye on is freehold townhomes. In May, the average price of a freehold townhome in Oshawa actually went up 0.4% and sat at the $862,000 mark. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's the next type of home we see a slightly larger price drop in when we do our next market update once the June stats are out. And I say this because the average sale price of a semi-detached home in Oshawa right now is about $740,000. Although freehold townhomes in Oshawa tend to be newer and larger than semis in Oshawa, a $120,000 plus difference is a large gap. And I expect that it will come down a little bit during the current month of June. If we wanted to go back to the last time we saw an average sale price in Durham Region under $1 million, we would be looking at November of 2021. There are a lot of similarities between the November 2021 housing report and the May 2022 Durham housing report. On average, Oshawa prices in November of last year were a touch higher than they were in May of this year. But two categories really stand out when we look at these months side by side. The two largest differences in Oshawa are the freehold townhomes and condo apartments, both being up over $100,000 in May of this year when you compare it to November of last year. This is another reason why I think we might see a little bit of a decrease in the sale price of the freehold townhomes in Oshawa during June and July of this year. And we may see a smaller decrease in condo apartments as well. But I don't necessarily think it will be as much or as fast of a drop because it is that entry-level price point. And there are still not many options for people looking to purchase under $500,000 in Oshawa. Prices in Clarington look a little bit different than Oshawa, with houses across all categories down about 6%. Semi-detached homes were down 9%, but there were only 7 sales in May. And freehold townhomes in Clarington held the strongest in May, with them being only down about 3% when compared to April. In our last few market update videos, I mentioned seeing a lot more homes canceling and relisting due to the changing market conditions. But now the Toronto Real Estate Board is putting together a report each month that shows the amount of homes being relisted. What's interesting about the report is that we see in here that there are lots of new listings coming onto the market, and that increase in inventory is helping to cool down the market. But if you look at the data in Durham Region, 31% of the new listings were actually relisted homes. These are homes that are seeing the market change quickly and for one reason or another were not positioned properly and did not sell. And they decided to try again and relist, hopefully with a different strategy. For the month of May in Oshawa, we saw 686 new listings, but actually 204 of those were properties that didn't sell and were relisted. And in Clarington, 34% of the homes listed in May were actually relisted properties. So what does this mean and why are those numbers important? If you take a look at this chart from the Toronto Real Estate Board, this chart shows the relationship between the relist share over time and the average annual rate of home price growth. The last time we saw a relist share this high was in 2017 in July, when we saw the last market correction. And we continued to see relatively low annual growth until 2020 when we started to see it pick up again. Now, whether we see something similar for the next couple of years or it's just similar for this year, it's anyone's guess. And that will be determined by many factors, including what continues to happen with interest rates over that time. Recently, there was just a rate hike on June 1st that brought the interest rate up, and it's likely we're going to see another increase in July as well. So as markets move quickly, either up or down, the question of trying to time the market always comes up. In January and February, it was about homeowners trying to time the peak. And now it's people on the buying side trying to time the bottom. Truthfully, you never know the peak or the bottom until the time has passed and it's too late. Right now, if you decide to purchase a home in Oshawa, prices have declined 27% from February 2022 to May 2022. You purchase real estate when the timing is right for you, not like you're trying to bet on it at a casino. If you're trying to time the market right now, you're really just trying to bet on saving a couple or a few percent, while also playing against the rising interest rates. The reality is if you're shopping for a home right now, you've already timed it right. It's down about 27% from where it was just a few months ago at the peak. That's also not to mention that with the amount of inventory, we're also seeing more conditions coming back. Remember those? Financing and home inspection conditions are making their way into more offers, and understandably so. Buyers want to make sure that they are prepared for the cost of repairs needed and protected as much as they can be from potential issues with appraisals. Is it possible that we see the market decline further? Absolutely, and I expect it to, but I also expect interest rates to keep climbing as well, which will ultimately impact your affordability. Time the market based on your situation and your needs, and not playing the betting game, because in 5 or 10 years down the road, it's not going to make a huge difference. Now, if you bought a home in January or February and you just heard me say down 27%, you're probably concerned by that number. Now, if you sold in the same market, it probably impacts you less because you bought and sold higher. But if you were a first-time buyer and bought a home that the numbers made sense on, it's one that works for you and your family, and you bought it with at least a semi-long-term mindset, and by that I mean you're planning to stay there for a few years or more, you should still end up ahead in the long run. A similar thing happened in 2017 when the stress test and the foreign buyer tax was introduced. Prices dropped and it took until 2019 to get them back up to where they were. But most of the people that purchased in 2017 during the peak planned on living there for at least 2 or more years. And if they sold their home during 2020, 2021, or 2022, not only would they have gained back that value, but their home would have appreciated well beyond that as well. So don't sweat it right now, hold on to that property and let it appreciate over time. And in 3, 5, 10 years down the road, you will be very happy with your decision. If you are a homeowner and you're thinking of selling your property and only take one thing away from this video, let it be this piece of advice. Don't be the property that other agents use to sell their property. What I mean by this is position your home correctly. Market it to the right people. Price it according to the market, whether that's pricing it low or pricing it where you want offers. and set reasonable expectations. There's a good chance in this market that if you receive reasonable offers that are in line with the current market and then turn them down, you may not see those numbers again. You don't want to lose tens of thousands of dollars because you were expecting too much money or holding out for a better offer that might not come in a timeline that works for you. And you definitely don't want to be the home that your neighbor uses to sell their home while yours sits on the market for weeks and weeks. If you have questions about this or anything else I've mentioned in this video, you can schedule a call or reach out to me at the information and links in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!